Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are going to be taking a look at what I firmly believe, without a doubt, this isn't even up for debate for me, what is the most unique knife Civivi has ever brought to market. And it's not a brand new one, but it's a relatively new one, and I cannot believe they're still in stock. But what we're talking about today is none other than the Civivi Vision FG. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this very unique and very awesome little budget EDC right here. We have an overall length coming in at 7.95 inches, with a blade length coming in at 3.54 inches, and a blade thickness at 120 thousandths. Blade material on this guy is becoming one of the typical, most common budget steels for Civivi to use, which is Nitro V with a reverse Tonto blade shape, a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.45 inches, and a handle thickness at 480 thousandths. Handle material on this version is micarta. There are a couple of G10 versions, actually 3 different G10 versions. This has the super locking mechanism, which we will talk a lot more about when we get to the handle and ergos portion of this review, because Civivi did some really good things here. Some things that I even like more than the premium version of this Vision. We have a user of a right or left hand tip up carry. Take note of that clip placement, because that is one of the things that make this knife very special. A weight coming in at 4.35 ounces, designed by the one and only Snextan, and a price of $79.90. Now, that is for this exact version right here. It varies from, I think, like $76 or $77 for a couple G10 versions, the $79.90 for this one, and then there's also a very awesome Damascus version. I don't always rant and rave about Damascus, but the Damascus version of this with a really sweet Damascus blade, and I believe it's Ivory G10, is like $99. So if you want some Ivory G10 and you don't want to pay $405 freaking dollars like Benchmade wants you to, you can get a Civivi for $99 with some Ivory G10 and a really nice Damascus. Really good looking Damascus. Look it up. If you haven't seen it, look it up, because that's what I'm even contemplating of buying personally and adding to my own collection, because I just, it hits me a certain way. Really big fan of that version. Also really like this version. Now let's take a look at some size comparisons, because this is a pretty big knife. In terms of length, it is not small. Let's compare it to another Civivi that I am really enjoying. This is the Civivi Sentinel Strike, one of the better Civivis to come out this year, as well as one of my other favorite fidget knives, the Kaiser Escort. As you can see, I think it's going to match up very well with the Escort, and of course be just a little shorter than the Sentinel Strike there, but 2 really good knives to gauge the size of. And I got one more little pairing to throw up here, because I think it would help everybody as well. The Vosteed Raccoon also measures up pretty well with this knife, as well as another Sencut model. The Sencut Mims is a very nice lineup with the Civivi Vision FG. So as you can see, there you go right there. Good size knife is the Vision FG. Very good size. Nice blade shape, nice blade length. And really just a really good overall feel in hand for an EDC knife. But before we get into this handle, let's talk about this blade, because it is a very well done blade. Has a lot of good things going on about it. First of all, just the actual shape of this reverse Tonto. There's a few things that really lean and favor this blade for like some really good versatile EDC use. First of all, you have a tip up here that is has some nice slenderness to it. It is a rather slicey tip, and it's got a nice enough point to where you can do some pretty decent piercing, some good little digging if needed to, and it just has a really nice long slender shape with just enough belly to where you can put that belly to use, and very slicey blade. We got a blade reading, or behind the edge reading, of 14 thousandths on this guy. So yeah. Very slicey indeed. As you can see there, look at that tip lined up on my finger. Very slicey blade. An excellent performer, and Nitro V is going to be a pretty good all-around performer for you in terms of what you should expect out of corrosion resistance, edge retention, and all the good stuff we look for. It's by no means a super steel, but it's a really good steel to have on a budget knife. And the finger choil. The choil up here is kind of odd or weird looking, but I tell you what, it just really, really works. And it actually really complements this handle in terms of just how it feels and how comfortable you feel. It gives you a good place to put your index finger, but also it's far enough up on the blade to where your thumb is going to come down well past the super lock. So you don't have like a halfway press down here to where it doesn't feel good. This feels really, really good. It's a very secure lock. I have no concerns of any failure or anything. And I have really enjoyed putting this knife to use in this grip right here. And then also you can move back and you can kind of find what works best for you. This is where people could make an argument. I honestly don't know how much I would back this argument, but it is possible that, so the way that the super lock works is you have to push back on it to disengage the lock. As you can see right there, that's your lockup. That is the lockup right there. And when I pull this back, you'll see it move. You see the top? So that's opening it, and then it can close. So in theory, if you're working really, really hard and somehow you bring your thumb back enough, I really can't get behind that though, because when I'm using a knife, I'm pushing or I'm moving back and forth. I'm not pulling my thumb back. So I am really struggling to see any real legitimate possibility to disengage that lock and have the blade close on you. I personally would never worry about that. I honest to God would never worry about that happening. And I really like how you can see that because that helps you understand the function of this lock better. And the detent is also kind of worth bringing into play here because while it doesn't have like a detent ball, it does have a detent of some type, kind of like detents when we talk about like button locks or crossbar locks. It's a different type of detent. It's more of a tension detent than an actual detent ball. And so your detent is caused by there's a spring back in this kind of liner lockish area of the super lock. There's a spring back here, and the tension of that spring combined with the overall force of what it takes to see how right there, look at the hole and see how it's kind of breaking through there. The tension of the spring combined with this part of the blade pushing that back is your detent. And I'm telling you, that makes a pretty good detent. Like, there's a nice amount of resistance, so when you deploy that blade, you do get a really good detent feel. That's important because that really helps the action. But back to this handle in general, it's just a very, very well thought out handle. It's simple, but it feels very good. I like how you get a little transparency in there to get a better idea of how the super lock works. And it just works really well, and it is a very secure lockup. Going back to the grip position here, I would use this with 1,000,000% confidence personally. I would always pay attention to how I'm using my tool, but I would never worry about this blade closing. It's a very secure, very reliable lock. And what they did with this super lock here, it kind of pains me to say it, but it's better than the premium version of the Vision. So there's obviously the We Knives Vision, which I have reviewed. You can look that up on my channel. I do have a review of that up. I really did like the Vision. I had a couple issues with kind of the wear and tear on my index finger from the super lock on the premium version, but on this budget version, as you can see here, they did some jimping. And it's not a lot, but you can see it right there. It's just enough to where you really feel it, but it is a masterful combination of jimping as well as chamfering on the sides here. So when you do go to use it a lot, and if you are a fidgeter, you can easily fidget with this thing like crazy without it really killing your index finger. I mean, yeah, you'll get a little mark there from pushing and pulling, but it doesn't leave like a blister feeling or a tearing feeling or a chafing feeling. It's very comfortable. That makes me so stinking happy because this knife in general is great. The one drawback of the Wii Vision was that I did kind of feel a slight wear on the super lock after a while. wouldn't have really, I don't know. It really kind of had me up in the air about it in terms of like, could I fidget with it nonstop, or I had to take breaks. You have a little more height on this as well. It's just ever so different than the premium version. You really kind of have to have both of them together. I'm trying my best to explain, but it's really hard to explain that unless you've handled both. But I think they did a much better job on this one. Now, granted, that was the Wii Vision was the first version of this knife, so they really kind of learned from what they did there to make this better, and I'm glad they did that, and hopefully they'll, maybe make that change on the Vision moving forward. But in terms of this model, this FG, the Super Lock is just about perfected, in my opinion here. It feels great. The placement of this clip is genius. It brings that clip up to where, for me, when I go to hold it, it's kind of going, it doesn't look like it, but when it's actually in my hand, this clip is basically kind of in a little indent right around the crease area of my hand to where I almost don't feel the clip at all. I feel the end of it, the ramp up here just a little, but again, it's nice and flat and kind of rounded, so it's not really, it's not a hot spot, it's nothing annoying. It feels so good. One of the better pocket clips on not just a Civivi, because I've given Civivi a hard time in the past. This actually reminds me of the older Civivi clips, but it just feels great. Could not be more happy with this handle and how they fully constructed it. You'll notice there's a little more weight in the handle of this knife than other Civivis and other pocket knives in general, because there is more material back here. It's metal, so there's a little more weight. But that little, and I mean the very little extra amount of weight, if you handle a lot of pocket knives, you'll notice it. If you don't handle a lot, you may not even notice it. I do notice a little extra weight in the handle, but like I said, it feels pretty good. I like that extra little bit, just a very small amount, but it feels really good. Now the action, oh God, this action is ridiculously good, insanely smooth. For what this knife is, a $79 budget knife. Some of the best, smoothest action I've felt in a long time, not just on a Civivi, because I think everyone would admit most Civivis are very smooth and very good, but just the way this operates, combined with the sounds, very nice sounds, nice acoustics, very enjoyable sound, very fidgety. Easily, this is the ultimate fidget-friendly budget knife, and I am not kidding you guys. I'm talking and doing this, but if I'm just enjoying it myself, it is so good to fidget with. Whether you're at the office, on your own, just sitting around doing nothing, thinking, it is a beautiful knife to fidget with. So smooth, so enjoyable. Overall thoughts on this guy is it's as good as it can get for a Civivi. I'm not going to say it's the best Civivi ever, because there's a lot of Civivis. Easily one of my favorite Civivis. And like I said earlier, I'm shocked. I am literally shocked that these are still in stock. I don't know if I'm willing to bet Civivi kind of took a gamble on these and just made a crap load more than normal, because it's not making any sense to me how these are still in stock. This version's a little harder to find with the green micarta. And right now the Damascus one's a little hard to find, but you can easily find these with the black blade and black G10, or the the Jade G10 with, I believe, a stonewashed or satin blade. These things are amazing. They are one of it's the most unique Civivi knife, but it's also one of the most unique budget knives ever. Like, not just currently available, but ever, because of this lock and how it all works and how well of a job is done on this. It really is good. It is, I don't think there's been enough positive things said about this, especially when there is a premium version that's very expensive, or, not like very expensive. I think that's like $277. But for $79, I mean, get out of town. This thing is amazing. It is so good. And if you enjoy fidgeting and flipping and all the good things that come with a lock like a Super Lock or the Shark Lock, it's I don't know if it's the exact same as a Shark Lock, similar concept, but I think it is a different lock in general. But in terms of just deployment and how it works, very similar to that Shark Lock. But man, oh man, this thing is freaking awesome, guys. I can't say enough good things about this. This is definitely staying in the PC for the foreseeable future and probably ever, because I always like to keep different locks and have good examples. And I think this is as good of an example as you can get of the Super Lock. It is amazing. I'm done saying it's amazing. I'm going to try to be done ranting and raving about this knife, but I really, really do like it. If you guys have one, let me know what you think. I don't think I'm I don't think I'm being unfair in what I'm saying here, or maybe too fair. It's just stinking great. Fidget Bliss, the Civivi Vision FG, guys, let me know what you think of this. I want to see more versions of this. I think it would be awesome to see this with Ultim scale so you could see more of the inner workings. That would be sweet. Would love to see a carbon fiber version. I want to see more versions of this knife, Civivi. Make it happen, because it's just a banger. Let me know what you guys think of this. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.